I'm not just asking people to be my the chef de cuisine so that they can do all of my work. I want them to grow. I want them to have the opportunity that I had as a chef de cuisine. And that's been, I think, again, stepping back and allowing, setting the right form, the right structure and format for them, and then truly, constant communication in a very positive way and collaborating together, providing them resources, and seeing them succeed is just incredible. And then from there, I think everything else becomes contagious in a positive way.
Welcome to the Behind the Screens podcast. I'm your host, contributing food editor, Kate Slentz. We are so excited for this year's Westchester Magazine's Wine and Food Festival running June 9th through the 14th. And today we're talking with Chef Brian Lewis of OKO Rye, who is going to be doing one of the chef demos at the Grand Tasting Village at the Kensico Dam Plaza, June 13th on a Saturday. Let's get started. I am so excited. I can't even help myself right now to have Chef Brian Lewis with us today. How are you?
Great. How are you?
How many restaurants do we have now?
Only 4, actually. Just 4.
I feel 4 is a lot.
It's the right amount for right now, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm getting antsy.
So we have OKO and Rye. Mm-hmm. And then we have OKO and Westport.
Yep, the OG. Yep, OKO and Westport. Yeah.
The OG. And then the Cottage.
Westport and Greenwich.
Yeah. And just doing amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever take a victory lap, but, I'm very blessed for all that we have, yeah.
I love that. You grew up in Somers, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Somers, cooking since I was about 13, yep.
That's amazing. What made you go into cooking that young?
Oh, it's so great. I love this, my little story. So I was, like many kids, very into sports, athletics and stuff, and I was playing football, and then I had a knee injury, and around 13 or 14, I was super bummed to be sidelined, and it was a long, long time ago, and it was a very, a real burgeoning kind of craft, and long before Food Network and all of that. And these really cool kids older kids in high school were, in this amazing restaurant called Mona Trattoria. Mm-hmm. They were doing some beautiful stuff from what I've heard, and it was just like this kind of a gang of like pirates or whatever you want to call it, where they were just like, who are these guys? Like, what are they doing? They're supposed to be really just doing some magical stuff with food. And I'm like, what's that about? And then I, it's like, let me go check this out, because I needed something to put all my kind of endless energy into. And I peeked in the kitchen and, met the chef, Tom, and the rest was history. He just brought me in, and he was actually a football coach at in his earlier career. And it was just like a really, I told him my story, and he just kind of threw me in. And I worked there for like 8 years through high school and college.
Is there a specific aspect to the kitchen that really kind of drew you in? Is it the...
I mean, I think it is that teamwork, that kind of macabre dance that everyone is doing through the day, and just this like absolute, that grit that everyone is as a team, like really, which I'm a big fan of. Have come to be in terms of leadership and all that comes with that in life, but then this just kind of visceral connection with food, just the ability to take something and to make something incredibly beautiful and soul warming from nothing, or from something just sitting on some grains with egg, and then next thing you know, you're making pasta with the matriarch Mona, and she's teaching me all of this, and just the culture that it becomes. Or that you assimilate into, and it just became my second home. Mm-hmm. So, like from a family standpoint and a cultural standpoint, all that restaurant world around it, I think became the obsession, and then the art of creating a dish, of working with your hands, mm-hmm. and then of course the rush of service, the rush of literally every day you're working your tail off till 5 o'clock, and then maybe you have family meal, and then you're ready to get going. If just after working all day to get to that point, then you're like, all right, bring it on. It's game time, literally. And then you go till 10 o'clock or later, and that's it. You do it again the next day, and again and again.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the team aspect of things, because I told you before we even, popped the mics in front of us, I warned you that I'm going to gush a little bit. And that's just me and my authenticity. I'm just going to just put it out there. I think I'm a little bit probably a untraditional diner, because I think I come in and see things that most people might not notice or sometimes take for granted. But one thing I do know about you very clearly, no matter where you're stepping in, what town it is, what restaurant it is that you have incredible teams.
For sure.
And the culture at your restaurants feels really clear and is definitely a shift on the diner side that I've seen. Can you speak to a little bit about how you're finding the right people to add to your restaurants, and then a little bit about how you're creating that culture? Because I think that's part of the Brian Lewis magic.
Wow. I'm flattered and really appreciate your kind words. I've been doing this for 4 decades. It's so strange, for my life, right? Since I was a kid. And, excuse me, it was never a straight shot for me, first of all. I like to joke and say I've crawled over broken glass, all of which I broke myself, because there's just, it's a matter of taking accountability and constantly improving has been something I look back at and I've tried to do, right? Regardless of the mistakes, and there's certainly in anyone's life been some, and I think the greatest improvement that I've made. I grew up like super intense. Often maybe misunderstood by that intensity, right? Mm-hmm. And those times of really, really strong, driven, I think were probably my least effective in terms of never being like a screamer or anything in that regard, but more when I've been able to achieve some success where I can step back and allow others to truly contribute more than just me being the voice, where I can allow or foster and find the right people, which, there's luck favors the prepared in that, because there's the right match for everyone. I'm the right person for some, and I'm definitely not the right person for some. And I get that. But I think once, paradoxically, the Cottage Westport, I was in there every single shift for 1.5 years, nonstop. Behind, cooking, expediting, running the business. But once I started to grow and opened OKO and started, necessity mothering invention, I have to find it and nurture and teach the right people, or hopefully the right people for the right job, with the right kind of resonating with my style. As I, kind of say, like, not that I've calmed down, but I've just been able to let go.
Yeah.
Which is very, very important and very difficult.
Yeah.
And letting go with the right people that has allowed me to succeed, to be able to again foster and encourage their growth. But the key is letting go, and it's not surrendering. It's just there's a real art to it, I suppose, or a real intention to it, I think is a better way to put it, where I'm really, staying very focused and in touch with the chef. Let's just use the chef as the let go, who this is to, right? And allow them, provide the disciplines, the structure, and all that you have as far as expectations on how they're going to run that kitchen. And then work with them, constantly, but also grow from them. That's the key, is that, there's a lot of easy humility that you should step into, in my opinion, to grow. And that's to really, what do they have to, I'm not just asking people to be my, the chef de cuisine so that they can do all of my work. I want them to grow. I want them to have the opportunity that I had as a chef de cuisine. And that's been, I think, again, stepping back and allowing, setting the right form, the right structure and format for them, and then truly, constant communication in a very positive way, tasting their food, working with them, they tasting my food, them tasting my food, and collaborating together, providing them resources, and seeing them succeed is just incredible. And then from there, I think everything else becomes contagious in a positive way. The same with with my restaurant managers, and it's evidence for me by the fact that at one time, I'll 15 years ago, I had a hard time keeping cooks because again, I was not easy to work for, and I don't take that. I don't think that was a bad thing. It was just I had I still do a very, very high standard. But when fast forward, I have eight people or so who've worked with me for pushing 10 years.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I mean like people that are running the company, and that speaks volumes for them, volumes for I think me just figuring it out. Figuring out the right balance of providing, which I do, autonomy. As my dad would say, it's yours to F up, but I'm not going to let you F up. I'm going to make sure I provide you the right safety nets, the right, again, communication, resources, and direction to succeed.
And you've succeeded in many ways. James Beard.
Thanks.
Recognized multiple years.
Thank you.
You've been a nominee. What does that feel like?
Phenomenal. I mean, I think the greatest joy of that was being able to with my. I have 12-year-old twin boys, Jude and Jax, and they're with me in every step of my life, and I am with them. And we went to Chicago last year, and the anticipation of when I got it was the third time, and I got the semifinal, and then all of a sudden the final, that day was just when I received the information, and they were at school, and I called school to let them know because they were just beaming, waiting to know.
Yeah.
And then when we went to Chicago, I brought my whole family, all of my leadership in the company, so it was 20 deep in the stand. We were there for the weekend. We just had the most ridiculous time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I remember toasting. And it was actually crazy. It was my birthday, Father's Day, the same day, the day before. Yeah, it was just I was like, all right, this is pretty much the pinnacle. I've got nothing left here. And we rented out a part of a restaurant and I had this party. And I remember toasting and just saying, this was the day before, and it was a genuine toast. That it wasn't to psych myself out, even though I'm saying that. Maybe it was, but I don't think so. I was a toast of saying, this is the win right here. We're all, in my heart. All of these people have worked, again, many of those folks from, 8 years or longer. And my mom, my stepdad, everyone. And that is the success, right there. The people that I was overwhelmed with that type of, success, not financially or even critically, but of having this kind of love fest going on, and then my boys being we had I had this really awesome tailor make them tux, a little suit, not tuxes, but tuxes.
That.
Yeah, it was the greatest hits of all things, and my fiance was there and got engaged that year, so it was just a
lot to be grateful for.
Insane. Yeah. So that the ability to share that with everyone and acknowledge everyone with that, including my family. Because that's the joy of that, not just for me. That's and I remember when we didn't take the win, which life, right? And we were all my boys were holding my hand, and we're all bated breath. And we went last in the thing, right? Close to last. We all just kind of got up and moved on, and life. We got back to we had a great remaining part of the weekend, and we got back to back home, and I'll never forget. I was like, wow, life goes. It was like a wedding and a prom and it was everything in one, right?
Yeah.
And I got back and I was like, everything hit. All these things in the restaurants were breaking. All these things, you just get right back to it.
Yeah.
And then you move on, and now we're just cooking our hearts out and doing what we do.
Is it? Do you still feel like you're chasing that? Is it a challenge to kind of keep it up at that level?
No, not a challenge. It's a reward to be able to have those. It's a great question, but to me, it would be a real disappointment to not have something to always be chasing.
Yeah.
To be honest, and like Michelin, we're in Rye because we've been grateful, super grateful for, I believe it's 4 or 5 inclusions every year, and we're certainly that's a chase. We're chasing that star.
Yeah.
If I could be so audacious to
Hello,
to say
Michelin.
That. Well, I mean, I believe we have absolutely. The people, the hearts, the integrity, and
Yes.
in all of the restaurants, but where Michelin does, in fact, they actually just sent us our plaque today. Actually, it's so funny.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, having that chase, having that is I never want it to be gone. I always want it.
Yeah.
Whatever, even when you accomplish it, then there needs to be something more.
Yeah. I love your standards. I'm just going to say
Thank
it. And I know we touched a little bit about this again before we put the mics in front of us, but in an era of Instagrammable food, right? How do you stay disciplined in focusing on, the alchemy or, the slow food, if you will, aspect of what you're putting out versus like what's currently trending?
Well, there's so many, as they say, things to unpack there. I don't know who they are. First of all, I'm not a tweezer kind of guy. I love beautiful food. Love, extremely intentional and luscious and elegant and layered. It needs, food. Like it's just such a reward. That is writing and singing this song through all the madness. There's a lot of madness in the business, right? Yeah. But and as far as, like I say, no tweezers, like no disrespect to tweezers as an instrument, or the hands that use them. It's just I'd rather use, like just that vibe with my own tweezers here, but. Having kind of lost my train of thought. I really just want people to be very honest with their approach to cooking and not be afraid to make mistakes in there or be inhibited toward the creative process. Not obviously to the guests. The guests aren't going to experience anything other than something that's been fully realized and tasted and understood to be like, wow, this is it. This is. But it's just food at the end of the day. It's like not, and that's, chef said that to me way back when I was working at the Ritz-Carlton, and I was like, in my stupid creative phase at like 24 years old or whatever. And that's okay, as long as it doesn't get to the guest, right? Like it's okay to be overzealous with that. But I truly try to encourage, just such an ingredient driven and also culturally, food culture is such a beautiful thing to study, to marry, marry together and, take disparate like cultures and where's the history where they do have a connection. And that's more important to me. And the food will always be beautiful, always be, that's easy. It's a requirement and it's just without even thinking about it, it's a requirement. But when you spoke about the Instagram thing, like I also, it's like Instagram and competition. There's so much of it, and you don't know what's real and what's soon to be, or not even soon, like how much AI and things like that. I really am a big proponent of put our heads down, focus on the 4 walls that we're in, and right here, like not such a vacuum. Of course, I encourage also go out to dinner. Like that's the number one thing that has taught me across my career is traveling the world and dining. Right. So we encourage all of our managers and chefs to do that and see and feel what's going on in the world. But this hyper excitement about the trend that's already done by the time you read it or listen to it, like it's. In anything, whether it's fashion or music, there's a lot of that, right? More than ever. So I think, there's a sense of if you put your head down and you, or I do, create against my own or compete for intents and purposes against my own self and like the dishes that I've made or the how I want to push myself and what, or where I want to push myself in what direction. Ultimately, it's really for the guest. When you're cooking for yourself, and it sounds somewhat cliche, but when you're just cooking as the chef's ego for like to make my own self impressed.
You're impressing yourself.
Yeah, it's like, how is this going to stop the chatter of people talking in a good way in the restaurant?
I love
So
that.
all you hear are the tines hitting the plate or the chopstick, or which you don't really hear, but you know what I mean? Like where
Yeah.
you're just like, I love that.
Yeah.
That is like
The hush.
I've hushed you.
You've hushed me
I've
multiple times.
We've hushed you.
You have.
It is the best
which is
feeling.
not easy to do.
Well, no, but it's such a nice feeling when you that is one of the greater validations and experiences as a chef where I'll share a story. So I remember when I was cooking for Richard Gere for the Bedford Post-Inn for the interview, and it was an extremely competitive process and a rather high stakes challenge, and all these multiple courses in a short period of time at his home, and he and his business partner and their wives. And I just, I really wanted it. I was excited for it. And I got it. But when I was, they were just raucous and really loud and having a lot of fun before I came out in a good way, really just excited people. And I came out with the first course and the dining room just stopped. And I remember just being like, this is either the best thing or the worst thing, because they're like, I can't. And I came out and all the plates were clear and it was all good. And
So it was the best thing.
yeah, but it could have been they pushed the plate away.
Yeah.
But so those experiences are what you're really shooting for, is to just have a guest be, because we want the guests to be having the best time and enjoying their conversation and their cocktails and just the overall, hospitality and the environment that we've created for them. And then, the food should be just this beautiful, ongoing, layering complement to their experience. It should not overpower, but it should just stop and slow everything down for a minute and just be like, wow, bring you in.
Yeah.
And that's just done with really great, honest, beautiful cooking,
Yeah. And it not to say, because I've taken many a photograph in your restaurant of your beautiful food, and it is all quote unquote Instagrammable because it's beautiful and it's stunning and it's perfectly presented and thoughtful. But it's you, and it's the story and of where we are and the sense of place of what it is, and talking to the food culture that you're speaking to. I know you've been to Japan.
Yeah.
A couple of times, right?
No, just for one long trip.
The one long trip.
Yeah.
How did that experience kind of cultivate and curate the experience that you wanted to bring to Westport and to Rye?
So having, just worked with Japanese ingredients, have been fascinated with the culture, and with working as, with friends in the, Japanese chefs and such, I knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted to explore this new instrument, I would always call it, because it's exactly that. It was like, I don't know how to play this instrument. Like this is something I haven't done before. Not that I don't know how, but I just haven't. And until you do it, you can't say you have, right? So when I went there, I felt rather validated by the intentions that I already had. I felt like it all just connected. It all felt like I was in awe. It's my favorite place. And I have been to a lot of places that I've said this is my favorite place, but it still holds my favorite place in the world, certainly from a food culture standpoint. So it really helped that kind of validating it, because we created something that has very different from a traditional Japanese experience, and we have many different disciplines within OKO. We have robata, we have beautiful nigiri sushi and tamaki hand rolls, and a really decent sized part of the actual kitchen. So it's very well balanced, and I wanted to make sure, and with that, I'm not going to be able to get in there and I had to hire the right people to help bring this dream, quite honestly, to life, and it's found its shape. It's shaped and its identity. Which is a really beautiful thing, and that's why it's through my heartfelt interpretation of it versus I'm not pretending it to be. This is a classic, a super authentic experience. it's authentic to us for what
Yeah.
we want it to be. But it's that's the best way I could put that.
It's definitely your lens.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely your lens, which is really, I mean, it's so clear throughout the entire meal. Two of the things I kind of want you to touch on a little bit, because I feel like they're very exclusive to you. The robata you mentioned, I would love for you to just speak to, for people who might not be familiar,
Sure.
what that is. And then also the okokase, which is like literally what I tell everyone they have to do.
Well, I mean, thank you. So Chef Dwayne and Chef Danny, Chef Dwayne Shand, he's our chef de cuisine, and Chef Danny, he's our sushi chef. They are, I just want to just remark, they're the perfect example of what I was speaking about earlier, about letting go and creating a team that can both carry out my vision, but also bring their vision to the table and execute it at the highest level. And they do that. They do that every day. And as well as Marisol, our manager, and the whole team. And Ralph Leon, our director of operations, who's been with us for almost 10 years, he actually coined okokase. It was a really fun moment because, omakase, and then it just kind of fell out, and he was like, okokase. And I was like, and this is after many years of doing it and of doing omakases. And it's the same thing. We're just being cute and clever, I suppose. And we just try to create a, again, super heartfelt expression of what the OKO experience is, while staying, true to certain styles of what an omakase is. Having, a few very light bites in the first few courses, typically a chawanmushi of sort, depending on the season, that soft egg custard right before the flight of nigiri. And that's really where I think we shine throughout it. But it's very well balanced, and it's probably about 18 bites of food, maybe a little more. And we don't really, I'm terrible at like holding back luxury items. I love like spoiling people, but also it can
yes, please.
But it can be but everything can be luxurious. A beautiful carrot cooked in the most unique way, or whatever that might be. But I always go back to the carrot, like it's the most base ingredient.
And it's like the root vegetable. Like what? Yeah.
But you could do so many things with it. But at any rate, we've explored and that our version of the omakase, and we wanted to just truly kind of like really wow you and just have you, but also not exhaust your, make it 4 or 5 hours. We try to keep it within a time frame, so that the nigiri sushi, oftentimes you'll get like species together. We've done the one by one, like one piece one, and then we've decided to speed it up a little bit, so we'll have a different, like the tuna course, and 2 or 3 of those, and it tends to flow a little bit better. The robata, we have the bichiton charcoal grill that we use, and we just do this really beautiful, whether it's chicken, different types of chicken thigh, or beautiful morel mushrooms, and Wagyu beef, or a vegetable course, and probably 5 or 6. And, we put those that together about 2 years ago in rye, and it's just such a dynamic part of the menu. It's, and I get so like excited. I'm like, we're going to open a robata restaurant. We're going to open a hand roll restaurant. We're going to open an omakase restaurant, because there's so many disciplines. I want to break them all apart and just brick and mortar them all separately. I know. And then I look at my kids and I'm like, all right, we have 5 games I'm coaching tomorrow, so we got to get to the
Back it up.
Right.
So is this your first year participating in Westchester Magazine's Wine and Food Festival? I know I've seen you at multiple events. But
It is, in fact, my first year. Last year, I think we were in Chicago or something. I can't remember. I think we were in Chicago for that.
And how does it feel to kind of like come back to Westchester to be able to participate this? I know you're going to be at the chef demo at the Grand Tasting Village at the Kensico Dam.
Yeah.
Do we know what we're whipping up yet?
We do. It's an honor, first of all, and thank you. And, having grown up in Westchester, I remember that, we used to go to all these events, and I was just a kid, just being like, figuring it out and being the assistant to everything, right? Yeah. and it's having come back and being here in Westchester was so when I opened in the restaurants in Connecticut, that was that. And then when I tiptoed into Westchester, I was like, wow, this is a real homecoming. Like in Rye, I have a lot of family there. All my family's from New Rochelle originally. So it was, my dad and I used to have lunch. I'm just sharing the story. We used to have lunch next door at the Poppy's Diner.
Oh,
right.
That's so funny.
I know. We used to have lunch there and we'd sit in front. And I had no idea I was going to open another restaurant, and then another OKO rather. And then we'd just be sitting on the bench afterwards, and I'd be like in front of what is now OKO Rye, and with one thing led to another, and I ended up acquiring that space.
Yeah.
And so being back in Westchester is it's home.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. And we are going to do a kobajime style, which is a treatment of curing very traditional fish as a sashimi. We're going to use skipjack tuna or bonito, which is in the spring. It's the leaner, light, like a little bit lighter. It can have different fat kind of qualities. In the fall, it's a little fattier. So it's a Japanese, again, skipjack tuna that we're going to kobajime, which is lightly curing with salt and sugar for just a brief period of time to just take some of the moisture out, and then you layer it in between seaweed. It's just, again, a traditional method of lightly curing it, bring out the moisture, and really enhancing its umami. We're going to serve that with house-made umeboshi, which is salted, a very traditional Japanese plum with shiso, and it's salted, and it's just a beautiful condiment that we're going to use that, and then also some fresh plums or pluots, depending what's available, and we're going to just have those shaved thinly, and then a ponzu, which we're going to make from plum juice that we'll make. We'll extract plum juice and have fun with that. And
I can't wait.
And then shiso leaf, which is the shiso leaf, but then the blossoms, which are beautiful right around now. We'll have those with the dish too.
I can't wait. I'm going to be on stage with you, and I'm
can't wait.
going to have to reel it back a little bit and keep my excitement to a minimum, so I'm not totally taking over the conversation.
No.
I'm so excited do you like doing events?
Love it.
You do? Okay.
I can talk as long as there's food involved or my kids. Other than that, I have zero game.
Stop.
No, that's it. It's food. I'm all
food
about
kids, That's it.
Yeah.
I was also invited, thank you very much, kindly, to the James Beard dinner that you did down at the Pier. Was it Pier? Is it Pier
57?
57.
Yeah, it was so fun.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see you first interact with the team, in the kitchen, and then also just letting you kind of get creative and play. And, thinking about the okokase, where you're creating a lot of menus that are dishes that are not on the menu.
For sure, yeah.
Is that fun for you to be able to still kind of...
Again, the greatest reward in my career is the ability to cook and create, because everything else is like running the business and all that comes with it, which I'm, again, super blessed for. But to bring that, to have that ability to let's create a dish for with my chefs. They create one, I create one. That's pure joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
For sure.
Is there anything that is upcoming that you want to chat about, talk about?
I think I'm
good.
Well, no, my chef and Chef Dwayne and I love the idea of creating a something new and really exciting that has OKO, but is more than OKO.
Okay.
And we'll keep you posted.
Thank you. I love the exclusive.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll let you know. You'll be the first. How's that?
Well, I don't have to be the first, but I definitely want to be invited to the opening.
Well, we'll let you know for sure. We're all about really, he's amazing, and Chef Danny. So to see, I've got a lot more in me. So let's put it that way. So let's get going.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Chef Brian Lewis, congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
And we're so excited to have you at this year's Westchester Magazine Wine and Food Festival.
Awesome.
You're the best.
Thank you. You too.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much to Chef Brian Lewis for swinging by. We can't wait to see him Saturday, June 13th at the Grand Tasting Village at the Kensico Dam Plaza. He is going to be rocking that chef demo. I can't wait to dive into that dish. Make sure to tune in next time and check us out on your favorite podcast platforms.